The land area of the conterminous U.S. is approximately 2.9 million square miles, or 1.9 billion acres. It can be broadly divided into 7 land use categories. Forest, land with trees greater than 5 meters tall and with a cover density of 20% or more. Shrubland, areas with low woody vegetation. Grassland and pasture, areas of primarily graminoid plants and areas of legumes and grasses planted for animal grazing, feed, or seed crops. Agriculture, land dominated by crop production. Wetland, areas where the water table is at, near, or above the land surface for part of most years. Urban areas and others, including desert and mountainous areas. Along the east and west coasts, forests and urban areas are prevalent. In the Midwest and the Great Plains, agriculture predominates, along with areas of grassland and pasture. Over 1/3 of the U.S. is classified as grassland and pasture or agriculture, much of it used either to feed humans and non-human animals or to produce biofuels. Urban areas make up the smallest total area but hold the most humans. As of 2016, 82% of the U.S. lived in urban areas, roughly 270 million people. These urban areas make up around 2% of the U.S. land area, with densities ranging from nearly 28,000 people per square mile in New York City down to 1,000 people per square mile, the minimum density required for an urban designation. Most urban areas are coastal or riverport cities, continuing the historical pattern of human settlement along major bodies of water for ease of travel and trade. Approximately 18% of people in the U.S. live in rural areas. Since 1910, the rural population has remained stable in absolute terms, while the urban population has nearly quadrupled. According to data in 2015, agriculture accounts for approximately 16.7% of U.S. land use. The largest subsets are wheat and corn cultivation at 5.3% and 5%, respectively, followed by soybeans and cotton at 3.3% and 1.7%. Grassland and pasture makes up slightly more at around 16.9%. Both agriculture land and grassland and pasture are concentrated in the middle of the country on the most productive soils. Shrubland is mainly present in the western third of the country. Though agriculture takes up nearly 17% of land use, farms contributed only $136.7 billion, or about 1% to the national GDP in 2015. The 4 most common subsets of U.S. crops are wheat, corn, soybeans, and cotton. Wheat, the most common crop by land area, is present throughout the U.S., but often at relatively low intensities. Wheat makes up 32% of total crop production. The U.S. exports about half of its wheat crop, representing 15% of total global wheat exports. Corn is grown most intensely in and near the Great Lakes megaregion and across the eastern U.S. Corn production is relatively regionally concentrated. The states of Iowa and Illinois account for about 33% of all U.S. grown corn. The soybean is farmed for both food and oil, accounting for 90% of U.S. oilseed production. Soybean production is concentrated in and near the Great Lakes megaregion, home to more than 81% of production by acreage in 2018. Cotton is the most concentrated of the 4 common U.S. crops. These high cotton counties are primarily concentrated in the southern U.S. There is a clear relationship between the relative productivity of U.S. soils and the quantity and variety of crops planted in their regions. Over half of U.S. agricultural cash receipts come from livestock and poultry. Meat production is widespread throughout the U.S., with beef production occurs in 40% of counties, pork production in 8%, and chicken production in 4%. The U.S. has the largest fed cattle industry in the world and is the largest producer of beef for both export and domestic use, yet it is a net beef importer. The U.S. is the 3rd largest producer and consumer of pork, after China and the European Union. Pork production is relatively minimal in most U.S. counties. However, the industry is highly concentrated, primarily in the Great Lakes megaregion and in North Carolina. Chicken farming is highly concentrated, mostly running in a band across the South. The highest density is in Gilmer County, Georgia, with over 275,000 chickens per 100 acres. The U.S. poultry industry is the world's largest producer and second largest exporter of poultry meat and a major egg producer. Environmental risks to humans vary significantly across the different regions and climates of the U.S. The Atlantic coast is at high risk for hurricanes, flooding, and moderate earthquakes. The Great Lakes megaregion, with a significant portion of U.S. surface water, is mainly at risk from flooding. The Midwest is primarily at risk from tornadoes. The regions west of the Rockies face significant risks from earthquakes, wildfires, and floods. The Pacific Coast is at high risk from earthquakes due to the presence of the San Andreas Fault, which is overdue for a significant earthquake. A megaregion may also be known as city cluster or supercity, is a group of two or more roughly adjacent metropolitan areas, which may be somewhat separated or may merge into a continuous urban region. There are 11 such recognized megaregions in the U.S. Cascadia, Northern California, Southern California, Arizona Sun Corridor, Front Range, Texas Triangle, Gulf Coast, Florida, Piedmont Atlantic, Great Lakes and Northeast. The megaregion occupied 25% of total land use. For the nation as a whole, Hispanic residents comprise 18.3% of the population. The shares for Black and Asian residents are 12.5% and 5.9%, respectively. Hispanic residents are highly represented in a swath of counties from California to Texas, as well as parts of the Mountain West, the Southeast, urbanized parts of the North, and many smaller places in the nation's interior. Asian residents, often with other minority groups, are highly represented in California, Washington, Texas, portions of the Southeast, large metropolitan areas, and small towns in all parts of the country. The highest concentration of Black Americans remains in the South, which, as a region, houses 58% of the nation's Black population. And the much smaller American Indian population is highly represented, frequently with other minority groups, in Oklahoma, portions of the Mountain West, and the Upper Great Plains.